Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sharing another what I eat in a day with some easy and delicious vegan recipes that you can recreate. For breakfast I made some toasted nut butter and seed oats, and I had that with some yogurt. To make my nut butter oats, I melted a teaspoon of coconut oil in a frying pan, and then I added in my oats. Only jumbo oats will work for this, so this was half a cup of jumbo oats. I also like to add in a little pinch of sea salt, and then I just kept those turning over on a medium heat until they lightly toast and turn slightly golden in colour. Meanwhile, I mixed together my nut butter. I used around a tablespoon, and here I used cashew nut butter, but any will work, and I mixed that with around a tablespoon of maple syrup. I then poured that into my toasted oats and just stirred it through until they were all evenly coated in it. To that I then added in a tablespoon of hemp seeds, as well as a tablespoon of pumpkin seeds and also a tablespoon of flaked almonds. And again, I just mixed those through and then turned off the heat. I placed those in a bowl, and then I took my favourite yogurt, as always, the Alpro Greek style yogurt, added in a couple of spoonfuls of that on top, and then I'd sliced up a banana to go in as well. And I finished with some strawberries and raspberries, and lastly a drizzle of some brown rice syrup for extra sweetness. I think you know by now my toasted oats are a go-to breakfast of mine. They're just so quick and easy to throw together, and they're delicious with yogurt or even milk. You can change up the nut butters you use for them to make them slightly different, and also adding the nuts and seeds in like I did here gives a different flavour and texture, and paired with some fresh fruit too, it's just an all-round nice and nutritious breakfast which keeps me full right up until lunchtime. For lunch, I made smashed edamame and avocado on toast. I used canned edamame here. I would say fresh is best, but often they come in huge plastic containers, and these canned ones work just as well in this recipe. I just drained them off and gave them a quick rinse. Then I added them into my food processor along with 2 chopped spring onions, a small handful of fresh coriander, the zest of half a lime and then the juice of half a lime, a tablespoon of tahini, some dried chili flakes to your taste. I usually find around a teaspoon is a good chili kick, and then I added in a good pinch of sea salt and a crack of black pepper. Now you can blend this up as much or as little as you like. I just pulsed it a few times because I like to keep the beans as whole as possible, so it's more of a chunkier filling or spread, but you can blend it into more of a puree with a splash of water added into. Once I'd pulsed it to the consistency I was happy with, I then cubed up an avocado and added that into the bowl as well. And again, I just pulsed it a couple more times to slightly mash the avocado and combine it in with the other ingredients, though of course all of this could easily be done without a food processor and instead in a bowl with a fork. I then took some whole wheat bread, this was with oats and seeds as well, and I cut up a few slices of that and toasted it. Then once done, I just took the edamame and avocado smash and piled it on top of the toast. I used about half here, so I just placed the other half in a container in the fridge, and as long as your avocado is just ripe, it's still nice and fresh to finish up the next day. I just topped mine with a little more lime juice, then some dried chili flakes, some regular and some black sesame seeds, and also some more fresh coriander. I'm always trying to switch up my avocado toast combinations, and I always have so many ideas. The flavours in this are my favourite with avocado: the coriander, the chili, lime and spring onion. But the edamame beans in this add some more texture, but also add in a load of protein. It works so nicely with everything else, and the tahini kind of just brings it all together. I definitely wouldn't skip on the tahini if you try this. It adds a really nice creaminess. So delicious on the toast for a quick lunch, but it also works great in a sandwich or on some crackers. It's really versatile. I usually always have a snack with my afternoon cup of tea or whatever hot drink I'm having. On this day, I just had a bowl of strawberries with some of these vegan dark chocolate buttons. I had that with a red velvet latte. I used Bird & Blend's red velvet loose leaf tea, which is incredible. It literally tastes like red velvet cake, especially if you make it as a warm milky latte like I do. I just use one of their tea infusers and I take a tablespoon of the red velvet loose leaf tea, place that in the infuser, and then I warm up some oat milk, froth it up, and then pour it in over the tea. Just leave it for around 5 minutes to brew and it creates the most amazing pink latte. I then just topped it up with some more frothy oat milk and sprinkled some beetroot powder on the top. This is lovely used for a latte on its own too, but it can also just add a nice sweet and earthy flavour dusted over the top, and it works especially well with this as the tea is also made with dried beetroot. As I said, it really does just taste like a cake flavoured drink, ever so slightly chocolatey as well. So delicious, and a new favourite of mine from Bird & Blend. So I just had that as well as my snack, and I always use that time to just tidy up the kitchen a little bit too. Later on for dinner, I made my tofu chicken, mango and coconut curry. To make the curry paste, I just peeled and roughly cut up a white onion. Now for this, I usually use 2 shallots, but I didn't have any left. I then peeled a 6cm piece of fresh ginger and again, just roughly chopped that up. I then took a large red chilli, just trimmed the end and sliced it in half. I keep the seeds in for some heat, but remove them if you like it a little more mild. I then peeled 3 cloves of garlic and I took my food processor next and added the onion, the ginger, chilli and garlic into the bowl, along with a tablespoon of garam masala, then a teaspoon of mild chilli powder, a teaspoon of ground coriander, a really good pinch of sea salt, and then I drizzled in around a tablespoon of oil just to bring that all together. I then blended that up for a good couple of minutes until it formed a nice paste, and once it was fully blended and as smooth as possible, I then drizzled around another 2 tablespoons of oil into a wok and added in my curry paste to that once it was nice and hot, and I just continued to fry it off on a medium to high heat until it was nice and fragrant. To that, I then added 1/4 cup of tomato puree, and then I took a large ripe mango and cut it up, scooped out the flesh, and then added that into the food processor bowl and blended it up until it was completely smooth and almost formed like a puree. I then added that into the pan as well and stirred the tomato and the mango purees into the curry paste. Once it was all well mixed through, I then added in a can of full fat coconut milk and just kept stirring that until it all came together and it was nice and creamy and smooth. It almost becomes this beautiful, vibrant orange sauce. I then just left that on a low to medium heat, simmering, and stirred it occasionally. Meanwhile, I had preheated my oven to 180 degrees Celsius. I took a block of firm tofu and just tore that up into little bite-sized pieces and added them into a bowl. To that, I then sprinkled in a tablespoon of corn flour, added in a good pinch of sea salt, and then I just tossed it all together to combine it well and to cover the tofu in the corn flour evenly. I laid that out on a baking tray, spread it out evenly, and then I just drizzled some olive oil over, again enough to coat all of the tofu, and I just turned it through well to make sure it was evenly mixed through it. I then placed the tofu in the oven to bake for around 25 minutes. And while that was baking, I just chopped up a red pepper into chunks. I then took around 120 grams of tender stem broccoli, trimmed the ends, and then I sliced those in half. I first added the red pepper into the curry sauce and just stirred that through and gave it a few minutes head start to cook. Just before the tofu was done baking, I gave it a final shuffle and it should be ready to come out of the oven when it's nice and golden in colour and slightly crispy on the outside. I then added the broccoli into the curry sauce as well, followed by the tofu chicken, and I gave it all a really good turn over to get everything mixed through the sauce well. While I kept that warm, I also just put some jasmine rice on to cook to have with it, and while the rice was cooking, I went back to the curry and I added a good handful of chopped fresh coriander into it, as well as the juice of around half a lime, and then I mixed those into it, and that was pretty much done. I then served up the rice first as a bed for the curry to go on, and then I divided the curry over the top of that. This actually makes 4 portions. I finished them with even more coriander on top because you can never have too much, in my opinion. Another wedge of lime on the side and some sliced red chili on the top. This is such a delicious, creamy, fruity curry. It's definitely more of a sweet curry, but the chili gives it a nice kick, and all of those other flavours in the curry paste give it a nice flavourful base. The mango and the coconut milk is a delicious combination and just works so well as a sauce for the tofu chicken. You can use whatever veg you like, but I personally love the slight crunchiness from the peppers and the tender stem broccoli for a bit more texture, since the tofu is soft and chewy. But baby corn, mange tout, courgette or even mushrooms could all work really well in this too. I am a coriander lover, but if it tastes like soap to you, you can easily make this with some Thai basil or lime basil instead, and those would work as a great alternative. Then for dessert, we had a few of these cacao oat milk white chocolate truffles. These are made with their signature plant-based oat milk white chocolate, and they have the most amazing creamy white chocolate coating and then a white chocolate truffle centre. Cacao also plant seagrass with every order. Their packaging is biodegradable, and they've kindly given me a discount code to share with you. So code JessBeautician will give you 15% off across the site, and they have so many incredible vegan chocolate truffle flavours to choose from. That's it for another day on my plate. All of the recipes are down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!